What if the biggest change in Germanic history didn't come from a battle, but from a belief? Ancient Germanic tribes once lived in a cycle of feuds, raids, and fragile alliances where power rarely lasted beyond a generation. Power used to die with the man who held it. One lost battle, one broken alliance, one winter too harsh, and an ancient Germanic tribe could fracture overnight. Loyalty was fragile, peace was temporary, and strength had to be proven again and again with steel. But then something unexpected began to change the rules. Not a new weapon, not a larger army. A new belief system started binding people together in ways war never could. Christianity slowly introduced shared laws, shared identity, and a kind of authority that didn't disappear when a leader fell. What followed wasn't loud or sudden, it was quieter, but far more powerful. For the first time, power could grow without constant fighting, and unity could survive beyond the battlefield. How did Christianity allow ancient Germanic tribes to expand their influence without fighting endlessly for survival? And how did faith turn fragile warrior societies into kingdoms that could last beyond a single generation? Stay with us as we explore how belief reshaped power and why some of the strongest kingdoms in early Europe were built not on conquest alone, but on shared faith. Before Christianity, power meant constant conflict. Before widespread conversion, Germanic societies were built on personal loyalty, kinship, and warrior reputation. Leadership depended heavily on success in battle. A strong leader could attract followers, distribute wealth, and maintain influence, but failure often meant losing support quickly. Power was personal, not institutional. This created unstable political systems. When a leader died, alliances often fractured. Rival claimants competed for loyalty. Without shared systems that outlasted individuals, unity rarely survived transitions of power. Conflict was not constant everywhere, but the possibility of internal struggle was always close. War was not just about expansion. It was often about maintaining authority. Leaders had to prove strength repeatedly because legitimacy depended on visible success. Without victory, reputation weakened, and loyalty could shift elsewhere. This environment made long-term stability difficult. Even successful tribes struggled to maintain cohesion across large territories. Archaeological evidence shows shifting alliances reflected in changing burial patterns. The arrival of a shared moral framework. Christianity introduced something Germanic societies did not previously have at scale, a shared moral structure that extended beyond kinship. Instead of loyalty existing only within families or warbands, faith created bonds between unrelated groups. Belief in a single God placed everyone under the same moral authority. This reduced competition between sacred traditions and allowed rulers to unify diverse populations under a common identity. Religion also provided shared rituals, holidays, and teachings that reinforced belonging. People who might once have identified primarily with their clan began to see themselves as part of a broader Christian community. Missionary networks helped spread shared teachings across previously divided regions. This shift made unity less fragile because it no longer depended entirely on personal loyalty to a single leader. Legitimacy. Beyond the battlefield. Christianity changed how rulers justified their authority. Instead of ruling only because they were strong, leaders began ruling by the grace of God. This idea carried powerful implications. Divine legitimacy meant leadership was no longer tied solely to military success. A ruler could claim moral authority, not just physical dominance. This helped stabilize succession because legitimacy could be inherited and recognized beyond immediate strength. Church support reinforced this system. Bishops and clergy often recognized rulers publicly, strengthening their claims and discouraging rebellion. Royal anointing ceremonies reinforced sacred authority recognized by surrounding communities. Power became less dependent on constant warfare because authority now rested on belief as well as force. The Church as an administrative network. One of Christianity's most practical contributions was organizational. Churches and monasteries created networks that connected distant regions. Clergy were often among the few literate members of society, capable of recording laws, agreements, and histories. This administrative support allowed rulers to govern larger territories more effectively. Communication improved. Records preserved decisions beyond memory alone. Laws became more consistent. The Church also provided local leadership structures that extended royal influence without requiring constant military presence. This allowed power to scale geographically without relying entirely on conquest. Law. replacing endless revenge. Pre-Christian Germanic societies often relied on feud systems to resolve serious disputes. Compensation payments existed, but cycles of retaliation could still destabilize communities. Christian teaching strongly discouraged revenge and emphasized forgiveness, reconciliation, and structured justice. Church courts gradually influenced dispute practices alongside existing customary traditions. Over time, this reinforced legal systems that prioritized settlement over retaliation. Reducing feuds had major political consequences. Communities became safer and more predictable. Leaders no longer needed to intervene constantly to prevent conflicts from escalating. Stability allowed societies to grow economically and politically without constant internal disruption. Expanding identity beyond clan boundaries. Christianity encouraged the idea that all believers were part of a single spiritual community. This weakened the rigid boundaries between clans and tribes. Shared worship created regular interaction between different groups. Over time, cooperation became more common. Alliances formed more easily because shared belief reduced suspicion. Pilgrimage routes connected distant communities through shared religious experiences regularly. This broader identity made it easier for rulers to integrate new populations. Instead of ruling only over kin groups, they could govern diverse communities connected through faith. Power could now expand without requiring total cultural assimilation. Economic stability through church influence. The church played a stabilizing role in economic life as well. Monasteries became centers of agriculture, learning, and resource management. They preserved knowledge and encouraged more stable land use. Church teachings also promoted honesty in trade, protection of property, and care for the poor. These norms strengthened trust within communities and encouraged economic cooperation. Stable economies support stable political systems. As wealth became more predictable, rulers depended less on raiding and warfare to maintain authority. This reduced the need for constant expansion through violence. Diplomacy. Instead of endless warfare, shared Christianity created diplomatic opportunities that did not exist before. Christian rulers could negotiate alliances based on shared faith. Marriage alliances became more politically meaningful because they united not only families but religious communities. Shared councils sometimes negotiated truces during prolonged territorial disputes peacefully. Religious leaders sometimes acted as mediators in conflicts, encouraging peaceful resolution. While wars certainly continued, faith created incentives for cooperation that reduced the frequency of internal conflict among Christianized groups. This allowed rulers to focus on governance rather than constant military campaigns. Education and cultural continuity. Christian institutions preserved literacy and learning during periods of political change. This continuity allowed knowledge of law, governance, and administration to survive across generations. Monastic schools trained administrators who supported governance beyond royal courts. Education helped create more stable leadership because rulers could rely on advisors trained in governance rather than only military strategy. Cultural continuity reduced instability during transitions of power. Kingdoms could maintain identity even when leadership changed. This made political systems more resilient over time. A shift from warrior prestige to moral authority. Warriors remained important in Germanic societies, but Christianity gradually introduced new measures of prestige. Generosity, piety, and justice became qualities associated with good leadership. People began to respect leaders who solved disputes calmly, supported churches, and protected communities during hard times because stability and fairness slowly became signs of true strength instead of fighting. This did not eliminate warfare, but it balanced martial values with moral expectations. Leaders were judged not only by victories, but by their ability to maintain peace and fairness. This shift reduced pressure to prove strength constantly through conflict. Power could now grow through stability as well as conquest. The long-term impact on kingdom formation. The combination of shared belief, administrative support, legal stability, and broader identity allowed Germanic kingdoms to become more durable. Rulers could govern larger territories without relying solely on military control. Authority could survive leadership transitions because legitimacy was tied to institutions as well as individuals. Christianity did not create stability alone, but it provided tools that made stability possible. Many early medieval kingdoms that endured longest were those that integrated religious and political structures effectively. Why? This transformation mattered. Scaling power without constant war allowed societies to invest in agriculture, infrastructure, and governance. Populations grew, trade expanded, cultural development accelerated. Instead of cycles of conflict weakening communities, stability allowed them to accumulate strength over time. The shift from purely martial authority to institutional authority marked a turning point in European political development. It showed that power could grow through cooperation as well as conquest. Christianity did not eliminate war among Germanic tribes, but it changed the conditions under which power grew. By introducing shared belief, moral authority, administrative networks, and legal stability, it allowed rulers to expand influence without relying solely on constant conflict. What began as scattered warrior societies gradually became more stable kingdoms capable of lasting beyond individual leaders. Power no longer depended only on victory in battle. It depended on trust, legitimacy, and shared identity. In the end, Christianity did not just reshape belief, it reshaped how power itself could endure. The story of how ancient Germanic tribes scaled power through faith reminds us that strength is not always built through force alone. Sometimes it grows through shared ideas that hold people together when conflict would otherwise pull them apart. What do you think played the biggest role in this transformation? Belief, leadership, or stability? Share your thoughts below and stay with us as we continue exploring how early societies built power in ways that still shape the world today.